Hi, and welcome to Phoenix Rising. Very happy to see everyone. And my guest is Joe Giaquinto. And it's been quite a while since Joe and I have been together with everything happening in the world. So, most of you are familiar with me, and most of you are familiar with Joe. This show will also, like all the other shows, will be in the archives. So, if you want to see it again or you miss it, you could contact me at my office at 631-591-2056 or my email, which is the number one, sacredfeatherhealingarts@gmail.com. And I will guide you through whatever you need in case you want to get in touch with Joe and you don't have his information. I'll help people get back in touch with you. Today is Conversations with a Ghost Hunter. My buddy, the paranormal investigator, isn't it PI, is paranormal investigator.
That's right. There's a little joke about the names.
Go for the joke. Joe likes to hit with the jokes. Go for it.
Okay, why did the ghost cross the road?
Why did the ghost cross the road?
Believe it or not, when I tell this at my events, most people don't get it.
I have no idea.
To get to the other side.
Yes.
Sorry.
Be ready. There will be more of that nonsense.
Yes.
Yes.
To today's
Yeah.
show.
So
We've
done all different kinds of shows.
We have.
Today is going to be conversation
just
with you,
general,
so people know of the different tools in your medicine bag, because they know most of the tools in my medicine bag. But a lot of people don't know that aside from being a paranormal investigator, you are a medium, you are a spirit photographer. You are so multifaceted. You also are a computer geek, said with much love in my heart. But you are truly so multifaceted. So tell everyone about Joe. Who is Joe?
It's a good question. I'm still trying to figure that out after 60 plus years.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting perspective because somebody actually asked me to write an article about this, about the fact that I'm a ghostbuster and then I'm also this psychic medium.
Yeah.
So it's coming basically from two different places. But I want to say that my website name came from this hybrid of these two things because originally my website was joegpi.com, Joe Giaquinto
I remember that one.
Investigator.com. But then after we went to Execution Rocks Lighthouse, Carrie Ann and I, when she was doing the book, Ghost of Long Island book, so we were at the top of the lighthouse where the lens is, and we were outside, and we're walking around, the precipice there. And we were there with the Coast Guard in a Homeland Security boat. So all of a sudden, we saw this helicopter coming from the shore and to check out what was going on, because they saw activity at the lighthouse. So it was Nassau County PD. So the helicopter came up to the lighthouse. Again, we were at the top of the lighthouse by the lens.
You were on the Widow's Walk,
on the
right?
Widow's Walk. And the helicopter was just kind of hovering around and around and around. And it was like literally from like where the studio is to where the control room is. It's
Just a couple of yards, really.
yeah. So I'm standing there smiling like crazy, and Carrie Ann is like, she's nervous, and the Coast Guard guy said they just came to see what's going on because normally there's no activity at the lighthouse.
Yeah.
So she's looking at me, I'm smiling. She says, why are you smiling? What's so funny? She says, I feel like I'm in an episode of Magnum PI.
Which would be your dream.
Yeah, yeah. So after that, I said, I'm doing more of the mediumship work now at my events for private groups, individuals, but also at our ghost investigations. I go in as a medium to see what I pick up,
So
rather than just be a ghostbuster.
When you are in
So anyway,
mediumship.
I changed my website to Joe G Medium PI,
Okay.
which is like Joe G Magnum.
JoeGMediumPI.com.
Right, and I tell people, just think of Magnum PI. That was
Medium rather than well done. Oh my God,
or
we're both on a roll today.
Actually an extra large, yeah.
Yes, we're
But anyway,
really
what were you
on
asking me
a roll
about?
today. Two sillies. So since I have seen you, there's so much has been happening, and you're doing for people to get in touch with Joe to join his group to go on these investigations. We won't give you dates now because the show is going to be shown after the next one coming up. But contact him, and he'll show you, how to get in touch with him and how to sign up to be part of these fascinating
Yeah, really
groups.
live events.
Right. And
So
when you're at the event, you use what the EVP, the ghost box, right?
right,
To have them speak to you.
that's right. So we used to use, I don't have it with me, but we have these digital tape recorders. And in the old days, you used reel-to-reel recorders or
Yeah.
cassette recorders. But so we have these, like the Walkman or something.
Mm.
So we have these digital recorders, and the spirits create what they call white noise EVPs. In the white noise, there's brown noise, there's different kinds of noises. Has to do with the signal and the background sounds on that signal. So
Right.
in a room, for example, here, you have the air conditioning system, the HVAC system. You have doors creaking, you have people talking in the background, maybe in other rooms, and that's all background noise. So that ambient noise is what the spirits monkey with to
create
to
voice
create
for
voices.
themselves.
That's right. So when you go into a place that you think there's some spiritual activity or it's haunted, and you say, is anyone here? They're
And
going to
they
use
say,
that.
"Hi, Joe."
Well, that's on the
I
ghost
love
box.
that.
So we use the white noise EVP recording for a long time.
Mhm.
Then I started using the ghost box. Now, as a medium, when I read somebody, all right, I'm basically getting a message or a symbol or some feeling, and I'm interpreting that and giving it to my client who I'm reading for.
Right.
With the ghost box, it's a little different because the ghost box actually, the spirits monkey with this AM or FM radio. And they also, now they have the different devices which mimic listening to live radio. But the AM, FM radio, what it does is you cut some wires inside it, and then it just keeps scanning. It doesn't stop. So you have that scan button if you want to see what stations.
Yeah, on the radio. Yeah.
Choose your music and see what you like, and then you hit set. And so the spirits can just monkey with that scanning frequency, and they stop it and start it at different times to pick up words from talk shows, sports announcer, weather forecasters, things like that, news anchors. And so what happens is you get a real-time conversation.
Yeah.
So as you were saying, instead of them just, I'm telling them that someone is saying hello, you'll actually hear them say hello.
So
in real time.
does this come when someone passes out of their physical body and they cross over? Does the energy already have this knowledge on how to pick and choose this, and this to make a word or a sentence? Or do you think there's like training sessions
I think there's a
when
training.
they get to the
Yeah,
other
I think there's a
side?
training session. I'll give you some perfect examples.
I'm sorry, I never asked you that before. and I
No,
hope it's-
in some of the places I've been, I'll actually tell the spirits, you got to use the microphone. You got to come over to the microphone and put your energy on it.
Oh, okay.
And in one spirit, this was at Raynham Hall in Oyster Bay years ago, I actually said that, and we weren't using the ghost box yet. And I said, you have to use this microphone. You got to come here and put some energy into it to create the voice.
Yeah.
And the spirit's EVP answer was, good point. And another one was, all right, so when you're using there is a training thing.
Okay.
And I find that when I work with the same spirits, we both get better and better at it.
Right.
For example, let's say you're on the other side. I'm not rushing her, okay? No, she's got
Scott told me I'm still going to be here for a while.
She's got about 100 years to go. So say you're a spirit on the other side. Now, let's say you're a visual person, and I'm an audio person, all right? So I have to learn how to send your energy through either visual, or you have to modify your way of communicating with us.
Gotcha.
With audio. So, and sometimes we don't connect. So,
Because it's a miscommunication.
right. And so I don't know, as a medium, I don't know what type of model of communication the spirit's going to use. They're invisible. I don't know who they are, who's going to come through.
Right.
So what I do is I tell them how I want to communicate, and then they have to step up to the plate.
That's what you did. Years ago, we did a show at Cablevision, and we had a Ouija board with us, which
Right.
we don't recommend people to use. You really need to create sacred space. They're not toys. And the person who was the creator of the Ouija board came through, and I was saying to you, because Scott was there earlier and talked about the esophageal cancer, and then you were chatting, and all of a sudden I started to feel nauseous and pressure, and messages were coming in through my body. And that was how that gentleman who created
He chose
he
to
chose
communicate
because
that way.
we were talking about to feel it, and it was really a wonderful gift that he used me to describe how he died.
That's right. And
he died the same as Scott, so it was familiar to me.
right, so
because he
you
had
could
cancer in
recognize
this
that symbol,
area
right?
and the taste in the mouth.
Right, and I have a couple of spirit guides, and one of them,
Yeah,
her name is Melissa, and if this
she's
seems
the queen of the hell.
yeah, if this seems over the top, it's okay. I understand, because this journey started for me years ago. I mean, when I was younger, but
Yeah,
now I've been doing on my CV I always say Joe G, computer guy, Ghostbuster, whatever.
how long? Most
Yeah,
of your life.
well, yeah, my first real ghost experience, like where I actually cataloged it and started from there,
California.
it was back in 1980 when I moved into that haunted house upstate.
Oh, it was upstate, not
Yeah,
California.
so I mean,
right.
talking 41 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I keep saying over 30 years experience. Now it's over 35. Now it's over 40. And you think about it, it's a huge. I mean,
really
it's
is.
over half of my lifespan. And but anyway, so Melissa came through in 2005, 2006. And so again, I was saying,
She came through, or was it around the same time
I met
that
Carrie
you
Ann.
realized,
Yeah.
Carrie Ann, but the same time that you realized you had a connection with Frida, the artist?
It was in that same period. I think she came later, but because I hadn't really done the spirit photography yet.
Okay.
I think I did that the following year. But anyway, if it seems over the top, again,
We understand.
it's
We really do.
it's just I've seen so much. I've picked up so many things. I've done so many readings now that after a while, it's just part of the natural
it's
world
so
of the spiritual
beautiful.
world.
Because it's a validation that after we leave these physical bodies,
We're still around.
that we're still around,
Yeah.
that we could still, come and watch our children, our grandchildren, and that we could be with loved ones, whether they're human or our animals, our companion pets
Yeah, and
that have crossed over.
and the only thing we lose is temporarily the physical body, really,
That's it.
which
I love how you explained it years ago, and you still do it.
Oh, about the
and I steal it
the
from you. It's
rent-a-car?
like when you come into this physical life, it's like you go to Hertz or Avis, and you rent this vehicle to get around in this place called Earth.
That's right.
This very crazy place called Earth.
And the vehicle you rent, your car, your body, your machine, comes in different shapes, sizes, colors.
Right.
Some are, some are like top of the line, Jaguars.
Right.
Others are like a lemon.
Yeah.
And you get born and you've got all these physical problems.
But I
in
believe
life and
you
stuff.
choose, because you choose the vehicle you come in.
Yeah.
Because lessons come with each vehicle.
Yeah, it's a journey, and I do believe in recycling or reincarnation.
Yeah.
So I think I've seen examples where people seem like they've come back. So back to Melissa,
Yes.
we were talking about how training and getting better at the ghost recordings and stuff.
Yeah.
So Melissa and I have talked so much that I know her voice, and she now communicates. She knows how to communicate with me where I can hear her. So I can hear with my direct clairaudience through my ears,
Right.
or mental clairaudience. I can hear her words in my mind, like
So what is it mental? Because that's how Scott communicates with me.
yeah. So an example, and by the way, there's nothing that we do here or say that you don't have this ability to our
Right.
audience. We all have this ability. We're all spirits.
It's like learning a second language. When
Yeah, it's just
you
developing
and
it.
Lorraine Recchia years ago were helping me understand my gifts, and when I said, it was when we did the on death and dying shows, and I said, well, I am an interspecies communicator, and most of the animals have crossed over. And Lorraine got so cute with me, and she said, it's not just animals, it's humans also, but for whatever reason, those that have been in this lifetime as four-leggeds, or other creatures, seem to be more drawn to you. But I have done, humans also, but I guess for me it's a comfort level
with the
to
what-
help people with animals
with
that
animals.
have crossed
Sure,
over,
sure.
to let them know. Like the woman you sent me to many years ago, somewhere off the expressway,
Oh,
and she had a cat named Rosie. And I was still very new at understanding my gift. And you told her, Phoenix is coming, and I came in the house and I was like, okay, just be professional. And if you can't get anything, just tell her. And this one kitty walked across like 4 steps up, and he had this amazing name like Thor or something like that. And I heard him clear as a bell.
Hercules?
Hercules,
Yeah.
yes. And he looked down his kitty nose at me and he said, you are not here for me. He flipped and he walked off, and then I went to this other lovely room and I met Rosie, her human, and her human's dear friend. And Rosie made it very clear that I was to sit on the floor next to a coffee table. She went under the coffee table. And the messages that this beautiful orange and white pussycat gave me, there was no way of me knowing. None, about other animals that have come in and out. So I thank you for putting me in the position to work with this, to open up. And
Oh, good.
not,
I'm glad. No.
Yeah, and since then, other animals have come in person, like that, the pit bull, Alto.
All right. Yeah.
And he saw his human murdered. So to get these messages, to give peace to the spouse, to the surviving spouse, the validation. So I thank you so much for pushing me along
No,
the
it's
road
fun.
there.
It's all fun stuff to develop the skills for.
Yeah.
So, again, with Melissa, I started doing the Ghost Box recordings at events, but also I do them at home.
Yeah.
And Melissa comes through big time. So did I play that recording for you from Melissa, where she says, hello, Joe, and I ask her how she's doing. She said, what are you doing? She said, nothing.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And we had that on the show.
No,
didn't
I
we?
don't think we had that
Or did
one.
you send that to me in an email? Because
I
I
don't
know
think-
I heard it.
Yeah, this one, I don't know. This one I've kept pretty quiet.
Okay.
It's very personal.
Yeah.
But anyway, she, if I haven't played, I'll play it for you someday. Maybe
Okay.
on Zoom or something, we'll do it.
Thank you.
But, it's just a normal human conversation. So I say, Melissa, are you here? She says, I'm here. And
They
she
know
sa-
when we need them.
Yeah, she says, hi, Joe. And then we play a game. I say 8, 9, or I say 9, 10, and then she says 11. And then she won the game. This is the game we
Right.
play. And she said, and I played this for my sister, this clip, and when it got to the part where you hear Melissa say, I said, Melissa, you won. And she says, you were easily beaten.
How
You actually
funny.
hear this.
How funny.
And I mean, it's just another person communicating, and it's a funny,
It's wonderful. It's a gift that they give us, and and many people that have watched the show for all the years that we're on, which
Mhm.
I'm so
Yeah.
grateful, to everyone for supporting the show, is when Scott was in the process of passing, he was at the hospital up the island, and I was in West Hampton, and he had come through. He was coming through a few days before.
was this when you were driving?
I was, and yes, and
Yeah.
before that I was working at Stony Brook,
Mhm.
and I kept getting headaches, and all my wonderful doctors, the alternative and the regular allopathic, no one could figure out where these headaches were coming from. And that day that they put him in the induced coma, that I was driving up to see his daughter at the house and then the hospital, and it was like, oh my God, another headache, and as clear as you and I sitting here, he said, honey, if you would just relax and listen to me, you wouldn't get the headache. So the headache was me,
Was him trying,
was
resisting.
him knocking and saying, I need to talk to you.
Right.
So he told me where the insurance papers were for his daughter. I showed you a card that he
Mhm.
left for me on top of the refrigerator, how his son was going to behave the day of the funeral.
Mhm.
So they come through and they give us so much information when we need it. So
Yeah, I wanted to respond
go
to
ahead,
that too,
yeah.
because we were talking earlier about, I was saying how we all have this ability. So
Yeah.
I'd like to give a couple examples.
Please.
So,
And
so
then I'd
let's-
like you to talk about the book.
Sure. So let's do clairvoyance, which everybody's heard of. You know.
Okay.
Okay. So clairvoyance, what is that? Well, it means to see, or to know. All right. So clairvoyance, there's many kinds of clairvoyance. One is, let's say I'm doing a reading for you, and I've never met you before, and I know something about you that I had no knowledge of. Okay, that would be one thing. Clairvoyance is also seeing with the third eye. So the third eye is right here. So what is the third eye? A lot of these things, I like to keep this thing simple. So
Yeah.
the third eye is just simply, this is what the third eye is. So you close your eyes and you say, I can imagine what my house looks like, or my apartment, or the car sitting in the driveway, or a bowl of fruit, right? Okay, so you're able to create a vision of something in your mind,
Got a bowl of fruit right
a
in
bowl
front
of
of me.
fruit that you don't physically have in front of you.
Mhm.
Now, the only difference between that and the spirits using the third eye is that the spirits put the vision there. So you clear your mind, you don't try to anticipate something, you just clear it, and then you ask them to give you a symbol or a sign or something, and then you'll see something in your mind. That's
So
the
if
third eye.
Melissa tells you, like to help you avoid a big problem. So if Melissa is saying, Joe, get off this road now, is that clairaudience?
That's clairaudience.
Okay.
All right, and there's two types of clairaudience. So clairaudience is the sound, is the audio, is hearing. Now, there's direct clairaudience, where you actually, like we hear each other talking
Yeah.
through your eardrum. And then there's mental clairaudience, just like mental clairvoyance. Mental clairaudience is you hear the words in your mind, but you don't actually hear them spoken.
Got you.
So if I say to you, without humming it, can you hear the lyrics? Can you hear the song, the Beatles song, All You Need Is Love? Okay, you can hear it in your mind.
Yes.
That's clairaudience. Again, the only difference is the spirits talk or sing to you in your mind,
Right.
and you interpret what they're saying. So then there's clairalience, which
that?
is, clairaudience is
How
a
do you
sense
spell
of
that? I'm sorry. For
it's probably C-L-A-I-R, clair, aliens, A-L-I, like alien,
oh, like,
A-L-I-A,
okay,
and
clairalience.
yeah.
And what is that?
That is the sense of smell.
Oh my gosh. So Scott used to wear this oil that he would get at the barber shop. And on the days that he doesn't mess around in the shower, because he turns the hot water
You
on.
smell it? You smell the oil?
I smell him.
Mhm.
So that's clair
Aliens. That's right.
Okay.
There's also clairgustinance.
What is that?
That's the sense of taste or
Oh,
of
okay, your gut.
food. Yeah.
Okay.
So where you all of a sudden taste something that the spirit has given you that sensation of.
What is it when you don't hear them,
Clairsentience.
when you know you have to move somewhere or
Yeah,
do
so
something?
clairsentience is feeling or either physical or emotional or just a sense of something. So
And these are things that everyone watching and everyone not watching
yeah,
has.
everyone. So if you've been house hunting or apartment hunting, right, or you had a
Or
job,
ghost hunting.
ghost hunting, you go somewhere, you go to a house, you've never been there before, you're looking at a house, buying a house, right? And you walk in the house, you know, this house feels, oh, honey, it's so warm and inviting. I love this house, let's buy this house. You go to another house, it's like creepy.
I've had that.
I've had, right?
When
It's
I
like
first met
somebody
you, I
just
had
had
that.
a fight in this house, or it's like very cold and very eerie. So that's,
It's almost like a get out.
yeah. Now, there's two types of way that you get this information through these different mediumistic things. One is if the spirit's giving you the information, or if the energy is in that particular location. That's imprinted. That's your classic haunting.
But someone with more training like yourself, you would know the difference.
Well, yeah. But, see, if I read you and say your great-grandmother comes through, right? I could get information, psychic, static information from your energy, from your Akashic records of your great-grandmother, something about it.
Okay.
But if your great-grandmother is next to me here and she's saying, yeah, tell Phoenix that whatever, you know, then that's coming from the spirit. So
Okay.
when you get these feelings, if you get them from a particular place, that could be that imprinted or what they call place memory or haunting or ghostly energy, you know, that's left over there. That's in that space.
So
It's
you
not a spirit giving it to you, but a spirit can give it to you as well.
So
You have those two
talk
ways.
to the people about what you had once talked about putting your hand down, about that kind of energy and the imprint that it leaves,
Oh,
even
sure.
after
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
left the physical.
I love this. Can you see the phoenix statue? This is a great.
And Scott gave that to me a
It's
long
really
time
beautiful.
ago. Yeah.
So, can I pick this
Oh,
up?
yes.
All right.
You may
So-
pick her up.
This is really nice. Oh, that's more beautiful than I thought. I hadn't taken a close look at it.
The work is intricate. It's lovely.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. So, all right. So, there's a movie. It's called The Time Machine by H.G. Wells.
Yeah.
Right now, you want to see the original one with Rod Taylor and Yvette Mimieux.
Okay.
Right. And there's a scene in there where Sebastian Cabot, I think he's there, and some of the other actors, and he's explaining about his little time machine. He has a little time machine demo, like a little tiny model
Okay.
that he starts up and it disappears, right? So he says, everybody sees this little time machine model on the table disappear. And everybody's like, where'd it go? It's still there, but in a different time.
Because time is linear.
No,
Is it linear? Is that the what
our
I'm looking-
time is linear,
Our time is
but
linear.
in the spirit world, time is not linear.
Okay.
It just is. So you can go from one place to another. All right. So this is an example of the time machine thing I was telling you about. So if you put this on the table, right? Okay.
Yeah.
We all agree it's there, right? It's on the table.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, Phoenix, would you lift it and take it off the table? Now, if I ask you the question, is it still there?
Physically, no.
No. But spiritually,
Energetically, yes.
energetically, it's still there.
Yeah.
Because now, and you forensically, you could say, well, there's some molecules of the picture frame might be now left on top, like if you were solving a murder case or something, you might find some, monk, you might find some galaxy quest, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the floors are so clean here.
You're so funny.
So, he's such a great,
Yeah.
he's such
We
a
do
great
go
actor.
off on tangents.
Yeah, we do. You put that back. So
Okay.
anyway, so it's in a different time. So when something happens 30, 40, 100, 200 years ago,
Like a
sometimes
person that constantly walked a
Yeah,
hallway
walked the
and then they
hallway,
cross over.
or they sat in an easy chair, or they
Yeah.
smoked a pipe every day at 4 o'clock, that energy gets trapped into the structure of the property. And so after a
Could you
while,
even smell if somebody smoked a pipe every day?
Yeah.
60, 70 years.
oh sure,
And then you're there and you're doing work with your group, that you would smell that type of tobacco that they
yeah,
used?
we actually had that happen in Raynham Hall. We were in the foyer. There was, I think, 3 of us in the front. And I don't remember if we were wrapping up an event, maybe ready to leave, or we had just gotten there. But all of a sudden, we were overcome by the smell of fresh baked apple pie.
Oh, yum.
It was as if someone had shoved baked apples up your nostrils. And then 3 seconds later, it just went away.
Fun.
So because they used to do a lot of baking in that kitchen, which was actually on the other end of the building, we weren't even near the kitchen. And the kitchen was locked. They were closed. They don't use it generally
Right.
unless for a special event. So, but we smelled it, and all of us smelled at the same time. So it was just like a little imprinted energy that kind of wafted into our nostrils. And
It's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So from
so
everything.
it was a little gift from the
from
family.
spirit, yes.
Yeah, they just
So
wanted
the
us
things
to
that
enjoy it.
Joe is telling you, either for the first time that you're hearing it or you've heard him, have conversations with me before, you've had conversations with Joe. Everyone is capable of tuning in. So I suggest that everyone carries like a little notepad, like have it in the car, have one in your bag or whatever, and make notes of these wonderful little things. Like many of us that have lost, a parent, a loved one, whatever, say, give me a sign. So there's pennies, there's feathers, there's
And it
red
happens a lot.
cardinals.
I get those stories all the time from
And
people.
my friend Diane, whose mom passed 2 years now, and her mom was being clairaudible with me when I left the house. Mom had just passed, and I was on my way to West Hampton from Laurel, and I said, I'm putting this, I guess, voice texting. I hope it comes out because this is what your mom's telling me about this man and this kind of tree, and I didn't know what it was, and it was a tree that's on their property that I had no idea. and we all have it. So no, you're
Yeah.
not going crazy.
No,
So
and
make notes, and
yeah,
if you have questions, call Joe. And yeah,
yeah, and there is a difference. For example, because some people say, well, you know, if you say like there are UFOs landing on every rooftop in our neighborhood tonight, you know, no, there aren't.
it's a little hard to.
It's a,
Yeah.
and maybe tomorrow night, but
Yeah.
um,
Full moon.
reminds me of a neighbor I had when I lived in California. Anyway, but the thing is, you've got to use common sense. The way you know it's a sign and not just your wishful thinking is if you get multiple signs.
Yes.
If it's comes at the right time. So if you're looking for the sign, or you're expecting something, or you've asked for some information, and then you get it, rather than just randomly coming, because there's always a conversation going on.
There is, and it's you have such a strong gut feeling, your instinct.
Yeah.
When
but-
I'm
and-
meant to
but
stay
also
off the road, and you
It
too.
has to be useful information.
Yes. Before I had this newer car now, when I had Peaches, the purple one, and I
You ever see
wasn't.
her purple car? It's great.
It was, and I wasn't to go anywhere. The serpentine belt would break. The deer didn't have a loaner for me. I was meant to stay put for whether it was a day, a few hours. You know, the messages are very clear, and it's to save my butt.
Right.
You know, to keep me out of trouble, because when I push it and I go out of my way, out of the comfort zone to get my way, to dig in my heels, I get into trouble.
Yeah, I started writing down sort of travel experiences where
Yeah.
the spirits have prevented something happening while I was driving.
Yeah.
Many, many times. I mean, I started writing, have a document of just experiences like that. Some good, some a little scary.
Or they'll get you to stop going where you're going,
Yeah.
and redirect you to have an amazing experience.
That's right. And as far as journaling, as Phoenix was saying, journaling these experiences,
It
you
makes
would be
sense when you
amazed
do.
how tuned in
You are.
Stuff is going by you all the time. You may not even be consciously aware of. For example, we started having fun. Mom and I started having fun with the Yankee. We watch the Yankee game every day.
Of course you do.
You know, and we started noticing that we were saying things right before Michael Kay, the commentator, and Paul and Dave, who are
Yeah.
the commentators for Yankee for the Yes Network, we were saying or commenting on things that hadn't happened yet, or they said the exact same thing. For example, we'd say, you know, Mom, this one's a real nail biter, and not 2 seconds later, Michael Kay says, well, we've got another nail biter here.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
this is a great one. So I started writing these down because they're almost so much fun. So Aaron Judge, who's right on the Yankees, Mom usually waits about a half hour before watching the game. She says she wants to let them get some runs first before she tunes in and starts yelling at them if they miss get a strikeout. So one day, Mom said, I said, Mom, you gonna watch? Is the game on? She's, yeah, it said 1 o'clock or whatever it was. I said, well, don't you want to see Aaron Judge get his home run? I just said that just out of, just like random. And that's the way it is with channeling. You can't go out and get the information. Just like you can't go out and play a lottery ticket. Say, I'm going to go out and win a lottery.
You're the sponge, and they're feeding you the...
They're feeding. It's got to come to your inbox. You can't pick the winning numbers. You have to get it. I'm not saying you should go out and gamble, because that doesn't work. But I'm saying when you get information, when you feel that inspiration or you feel lucky, it has to come to you. You can't go and get it. So I just said to her, don't you want to see Aaron Judge get his home run? So she turns on the game. I go in the other room to work on one of my computer projects. And I hear some commotion back in the room, so I come running, and she says, guess what?
I love it.
She says, Aaron Judge happened to be the first batter on the lineup. It was the top of the first inning, or bottom of it, whatever, they were playing a home game. And he hits a home run out of the park. Now, you could call that premonition, you could call it luck.
A lucky guess,
whatever. Guess, but you think about all the possibilities that would have to happen. First of all, maybe he wasn't the first batter. Maybe he wasn't playing that day. Maybe he'd strike out. Maybe he'd get a single or a double.
Such a multitude.
Yeah, But the fact that I called it, walked out of the room, she turns the TV on,
Bam.
and a minute later, he's the first one, the first hit, and he gets it. Another time, and I told this story before, where we had all those hurricanes. Remember all those hurricanes we had, like 1 year after that, like Hurricane Wilma, and
Yeah.
right? Then we had Sandy, the big one. And I remember when Hurricane Wilma was coming, it was threatening down by Florida or Cuba, down that way, by the Caribbean. And I remember every 5 minutes on News 12, they were like, "Know before you go," and
Yes.
Hurricane
yes.
Wilma is coming up the coast. It's going to hit Florida. It's going to come up this way. It's going to hit Virginia. And I said, Hurricane Wilma, where's Fred? Fred Flintstone. So I sat down. I was annoyed at the TV, so I sat down and turned the remote to the next channel up. Didn't know what channel. I just flipped up.
Yeah.
And it was a Midas commercial for Fred Flintstone bring his Stone Age vehicle in to get a new muffler.
Yeah.
You
Spirit plays with you.
Yeah, you cannot make that up. It's too bizarre. I mean, if you wanted to look at it that way.
Yeah.
And this goes on all day with everybody.
With everyone.
Everyone.
Because we're not alone.
We're not alone. I want to dispel the myth. Forget about Facebook and privacy and
Yeah.
webcams and all that. Spirits are hanging out with us 24 hours. They know everything that goes on.
And
They're
they
all
do have
around.
an amazing sense of humor.
And they don't care. I want to also let everybody know, they don't care. They don't care if you put your makeup on the wrong way. They don't care
It's unconditional.
if you said a 4-letter word that was out of character for you. They don't care what you did, as long as you try to do the best you can in your life.
Yeah.
Because what you don't do that's good in your life, or if you hurt people, when you go to the other side, you get to see everything you did, good and bad.
Yeah.
And that's the hell or purgatory for
And
a lot of
even if
people.
you don't have a conscience here in the
You will,
physical,
yeah.
when you do get to the other side, you are given emotions that you either didn't have or that you shut down. So you can feel the pain you inflicted on
Yeah.
others.
And when people die, we always say, "Oh, so and so is grieving. She lost her husband." But the spirits grieve too. Think about it. You left your family behind. You can't go and have an ice cream sundae at Carvel.
And I could use Scott as the example because one of the messages that came through as when he was in the induced coma was, "I'm so sorry. I will take care of you. You can't hurry to come here," because when he died, I really didn't want to be here anymore.
Right.
And we weren't reintroduced yet, so I had gone to Josephine. I didn't tell her he passed or anything, and the messages came through of how he was hurting, and which is why he is with me 99% of the time. And if he's not with me and I need him,
Is that Josephine Giringeli?
yes,
Yeah, she's
she's
cool.
a darling.
Yeah, she's fun. I
She's
got
a
to
darling.
see her. I was doing an event at Deep Wells. I think it was at Deep Wells. Yeah, in the music room. And I was going to do like an EVP demo, like talk about
Yeah.
ghost recordings. I was the follow-up act. So she was the
Yeah.
first that had like, that room was filled with like 100 people, and she was doing
she's
readings.
a darling.
Yeah,
so
she was really good.
I would love to have the two of you together on the show.
Yeah,
That would be great fun.
and she's got a good personality. And
First,
actually, that night that I was at Deep Wells, I went upstairs the second floor because I was there early, so I had some time to kill, and I saw an apparition on the second floor
yeah.
of a man
It-
just
it-
peeked down the hall and looked at me.
Hi, Joe.
Yeah.
When I went to her right after Scott passed, when you walk into Josephine's office, there's a couch to your left, and there's a chair to your right, and then she sits off in the corner there. And I looked at the chair as I came in.
You saw somebody there?
No, it was a strange feeling. I didn't realize Scott was in the chair.
Oh, okay. yeah.
Spirit. And I went to sit on the couch, and it was like, I don't want to sit on the couch. I sat on the floor, and I leaned against the couch. Josephine comes in, she does the meditation. She opens herself up to spirit, and she starts laughing, and she said, there's this guy here. Scott? I said, yeah. She said, he wants to know why you didn't sit on his lap. Because he was in that chair.
That's great. And she got his name?
He came
Oh,
through,
that's great.
and they have a really funny relationship that I'm a little envious of, because we haven't done it in a while, but she would come to my house and we would do a trade.
Mhm.
I would do chakra illumination on her or whatever, hypnosis, and she would do a reading for me. And when she's getting ready to do the reading, she's sitting there and she's hysterical laughing because they have this inner dialogue of jokes. And then she comes out and she tells me something that he did when he was here in the physical. And like we left Westbury Music Fair one night and he was hamming it up in front of a Gladys Knight poster. And she was imitating him. He told her about a piece of jewelry that was being made specifically for me by his guidance. So of course every jewelry store I walked by, I looked for, and it turned around. It came from one of the patients from when I worked at Stony Brook with Dr. Jaber, was an artist. Number one, she made the goddess for me that I wear around my neck many times. But he directed her to make this one sacred piece that I use when I do spiritual work or Anam Cara work when someone's crossing over. He designed it.
That's nice.
And gave the design to Josephine that she drew it. And when I saw this woman, Diane, she said, I have this. No one has even come near the table to look at it. And it was like, oh my God. So these instincts, these messages, you know, they're just beautiful.
Yeah,
So
I walked into one of the stories in the book. Oh, and I'll talk about the new book coming out. But
I would love you to talk about the book.
Well, there was a private home we went into, and sometimes you just walk into a home and you just get the information. Like the guy or the gal just tells you what they want to know. Like when Michael passed, his parents invited us. This was in one of the older books. They invited us to interview them about this haunting in their house.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it. In fact, I didn't even know where they were located. I was following Carrie Ann to this house.
Yeah.
So I think it was in Smithtown or somewhere. So we got there, and I'd been driving around for a while, so I asked to use the restroom, and they were setting up in the kitchen with the soda and the coffee, donuts, whatever
Goodies.
they're doing. Yeah. So I went in the bathroom, and as soon as I closed the door, I heard this man's very melodic voice say, "My name is Michael."
I love it.
I mean, it was
love it.
it's like we're talking here. It was that loud. So I finished my business. I went back into the kitchen, and I said, "Listen, before we start, somebody just spoke to me. He said his name was Michael. Who's that?" And they looked. They were kind of astonished, and they were like, "That's our son who died. That we're going to tell you this story."
Yeah.
But he was a very strong spirit, and I had other experiences with him and some of his belongings that one thing that I got in particular, which you would love because you like nature and animals and things. They had this organ grinder monkey. It was like a mascot, one of those
Oh,
right?
yes.
Even after the batteries died, that thing would
He
still
was
go.
still going.
Yeah. So his father, Michael's father, gave me that. Sort of just,
That's
he didn't
very
want it in
touching.
the house anymore. He wanted Michael to move on.
Yeah.
He knew I was interested in haunted, inanimate objects. And so he gave it to me. But he told me that after Michael died, he had an orchid plant in the room that never bloomed. And for 2 weeks after he died, it bloomed one big white flower.
It's so touching.
So I took the mascot, the organ grinder monkey doll, and I sent it to a colleague of mine out west. And she didn't know anything about the book. In fact, we were still under wrap because under contract it hadn't been released yet.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even talk about where it came from. So I sent her the doll, and I don't know, some time later, a few weeks later, she called me and I said, how's it? She said, oh, this thing is really great, but I have to ask you a question. She says, ever since I got it, I guess she put it on the counter or something, or on the shelf. She said I had a Hawaiian orchid plant that never bloomed, and now it's blooming like crazy.
That's awesome.
Isn't that great? What a nice gift.
It's a beautiful gift.
And a validation.
And we get the validations when we pay attention.
And I mean, she didn't even know there was
She
no
knew nothing.
connection at all. Now,
So books.
yeah. So we have another book, Carrie Ann Flanagan Brodsky, who's the Huntington historian, and she's the author of these ghost books that she's been writing since 2005 when I met her at the Conklin Barn at a ghost lecture. I'm her paranormal investigator. So
What a team.
Yeah, so she has another book coming out. We have another book coming out. This one is going to be amazing. It is coming out in October. We're going to be a book review.
Excellent.
I'm not sure, but I think it's October 7th. But if you go to carrieanneflanaganbrosky.com, all the information is there, including a link to my site. If you want to go, Joe G. Medium PI, you can go to my site, either one. And the book is going to be so amazing because they're all new stories. It's going to be called Haunted Long Island Mysteries.
Not even stories, they're all new experiences.
They're all new, they're all new, they're all true experiences. Haunted Long Island Mysteries is the name, and it's, what's cool about it is I use a lot of my mediumship in the book.
Yeah.
But we also use the ghost box extensively. So we had a process. In the old days, we just walk around and we interview the owner of the building and, you know, see what we get with our EVP recorder and our ghost meter, you know, the cell sensor. You know.
Somebody's knocking for you.
I heard that. Yeah, the two.
Yeah.
That was again, yeah.
Yeah.
But now we have a very specific thing. We go in, we interview the people. They don't tell me anything about the haunting. I see what I get, and then later they tell me what they got, or we corroborate the evidence. Then I do a video tour of the house with my camera, so we remember what rooms we're in, because some of these houses are beautiful, they're really large. But then we do a ghost box recording session while we're there, either just alone or with the people that we're investigating the house for. And these recordings are beyond what you'd ever expect. First of all,
I can't wait till it comes out.
First of all, what I do something very different. I just don't listen for like an EVP as you see on these shows. We have a conversation with spirits, and then I go through the recording, and then I take the answers and the questions out, and I take out all the dead air, and I clean up the static, just like you would like an old photograph, you're restoring an old photo, and I get it so you have the full conversation. And the intelligence of the conversation is unmistakable. And some of these conversations are long. I mean, forget about a 2-second boo on a recording. This is like a 6-minute conversation.
Because there's so much information they need. Like we were speaking to Michael, the director of LTV earlier, when that terrible plane crash was in East Hampton years ago. And Joe knew nothing about it, and the young man, the grandson,
William,
came through. That was a very long conversation.
Yeah, what happened was we were here, and the previous year, I did this recording, but I don't think I ever listened to it. So the following
because
year,
I remember you emailed it to me.
That's
as an
right.
Attachment.
Yeah, and we were.
And we weren't allowed because there was so much going on that the police weren't going to move on the information that we had. We were stopped.
That's right.
Oh, you know what? It was LTV wasn't allowed to show the show.
That's what it was.
Because of the sensitive nature
of
it. Yeah, we weren't allowed to show it.
So we were doing a Ouija board demo, and in the middle of the demo,
the numbers.
I started getting numbers, and then somebody said to me registration numbers on a plane. Now I didn't match up to see if the numbers were the same, but in the middle of it, we're right next to the airport here, East Hampton Airport, and I said, "Was there a plane crash here?" And on the way home, I turned the ghost box on and had these.
Right, and he talked.
I had these conversations with the people from the plane, including the pilot, and with the grandson.
Yeah.
And
the pilot was a fellow from Hampton Bays.
Yeah, Dollard, Mr. Dollard.
Yes.
And I had a conversation all the way home on the ghost box, which was on in the car, and I had my tape recorder on in the car as I'm driving.
That's what you sent to me.
Yeah, and it was
that
really
was
funny.
The validation, because they wanted, and it was heartbreaking, as I'm starting to remember, it was heartbreaking that we couldn't talk about it and that the show couldn't be shown because they could have found the debris from the plane and the people. They could have found so much more information.
I remember to me, one of the most amazingly emotional and sad lines was clear as a bell when one of the spirits on the ghost box, when I was talking to them on the ghost box while I'm driving the car, he said, "4 fatal people, goodbye friends," was what he said.
That was the pilot.
Yeah, 4 fatal people, goodbye friends. It was just,
and the young boy came through with names.
William, like 4 times he said William.
Yes, and he told you to tell me to talk to Dan. And Dan was a young man in my other office that I just met. I'm thinking, how am I going to say this to him? But I figured, got to go for it.
And
so
he
a
was
few days later,
related to them?
he's not related, but he knew Dollard and
Oh,
he
he knew
knew
Dollard,
the
right.
family. And so spirit, they want us to be informed. They don't want us to be
Right.
frightened. They want us also to know that once this is done, no matter what our age, that we're not done. We're never done. We are
No.
energy, and we continue.
And they also, they need closure. They have loose ends they need to wrap
Yeah.
up before they can kind of
And
move on.
apologies to make.
Apologies
They
to make,
do.
and also messages to give, like telling somebody where something is located, you know,
Yeah.
that they couldn't when they were alive or they died too soon. So there's a lot of useful information. I think if you take the feeling that we're all kind of spiritually connected, I mean, think about it. What's the difference between a person who's in a body or a person that's not in a body? Nothing. There's nothing at all. In fact, that's the same reason why if you ever walk down a street, like let's say in a big city like New York, and it's at night and you pass by a stranger, sometimes you pass by, you smile, the other person smiles. It's like instant connection, good person. Other times the person goes by and there's something about that person is creepy. You'll turn around to make sure they're not following you.
Yeah.
That primal instinct, that intuition.
And
is
you
built
find
in-
your body moves away.
Yeah, it's built into all of us.
When you go into a room, say someone invites you for dinner, or a dinner party. So there's a lot of people. You walk in energetically and instinctively. You scan it without even realizing you're scanning the
That's
room.
your spiritual side.
And you feel energetically who you want to go and talk to.
That's right.
The group, it might be someone you know standing with people you don't know, and you're like, no, there's something there, I don't want to go there. But you feel like, say, there's the guy over at the carving station, and not even that you're hungry, but there's something about the energy moving along that
Yeah.
side of the room that brings you there.
Yeah, there's a reason. If you think that everything happens for a reason, there's somebody's trying to communicate with you, or there's some good information there to help you with your life, then you'll become more aware of it.
Yeah.
And related to that, I remember a time when Carrie and I were at a bookstore, and we were doing sort of like a campground storytelling. It was a book signing, but we were reading stories from the book. And a lot of kids sitting around on the floor,
Yeah.
like a campground, like listening to ghost stories or something. It was really nice. But this one fellow entered the room, entered the circle, and he's standing there. His arm was in a cast. And all of a sudden, I felt very worried about the kids that were there. I felt like almost like a protective father, like some
It was a
creepy-
predatory energy.
There was a predator, yeah. And so I just looked at the guy and I said to him, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Actually not." He said, he told me, he said, I just got into a knife fight with my father.
Oh my
And
God.
I said, "I'm in better shape than he is. He's in the hospital." Yeah.
Wow.
So I said, "Well, maybe you should go home and chill out or something." So he said, "Yeah, I think you're right." So he left. As soon as he left, the energy changed.
Changes.
It lifted up. But you can feel that
Yes, and
when
pay
there's
attention
bad
to
around
it.
you. Yeah.
It's your safety. So we're coming to the end of our amazing hour, quick as a bunny again.
Goes fast.
So would you let people know how to find Joe?
Sure. Well, the easiest way is go to the website joegmediumpi.com, or go to Carrie Ann's website, Carrie Ann, Kerriann, Flanagan Brodsky, BROSKY.com.
Lady with a lot of names.
Yeah, or just Google Joe Giaquinto.
And you pop right up.
Right
you
up.
are the one and only.
Yeah, and I'm on Facebook too. If you want to friend me, you can find me on Facebook as well. And
Yeah.
we have a nice group of people there. So we do have events. Again, this will be broadcast after the event. We are doing an event tomorrow.
Right.
We're
But there
gonna
will be others
there'll be
all
others.
through
Yeah,
the year.
Hopefully, we're opening up again, and
Yeah.
we'll
And
get
so, but
back to
people,
normal.
will wear their masks and take the
Sure.
proper precautions.
That's right.
And we'll do what we have to do to get back in the swing of things.
Exactly. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you inviting me on, and
I absolutely love it.
so
It's
much to
been too
talk
long.
about. It
Always.
goes so fast.
And we're going to be talking about doing location shows through Zoom or whatever.
That'll be fun.
It'll be fun. And thank goodness you have technology mastered, because
Well, I know about that.
don't. So, and how you could reach me is Phoenix Rising Facebook page. There's a Phoenix Rising Facebook page. there's Sunday Reiki with Phoenix and Friends Facebook page, and then there's Sacred Feather Healing Arts, Phoenix Redhawk.
You're out
Facebook
there.
Page. I'm out there.
You're out there. Great.
My web is www.sacredfeatherhealingarts.com, and the office number is 631-591-2056. And I just thank everyone. I thank you so much for taking the drive out here today.
Yeah,
So anything you
fun.
want to say, and then we could close with people closing their eyes and taking some nice deep breaths.
Yeah, I would say that life here on this planet is pretty wonderful, even with all the misery and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I just stop and look. I go outside and I look at the green trees and the blue sky, the birds singing, and I just think, just the fact that we're breathing, our heart's beating millions and millions
What
of
a
times.
blessing.
It is. We don't even think about the fact that our body stays in one piece and the cells all work and the blood flows, and it's just an incredible life cycle.
It really is, and the knowledge we're given. And next time
Yeah,
when
there's
we
a
meet
bigger
and
picture.
talk,
There's a bigger picture here. This
definitely.
is just one
I want to talk
episode
about,
and-
like we started talking earlier off camera, about these healing codes.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's
Yeah.
a fascinating thing. It's more energy work. And, oh, and when you check it, if you want to come to a Reiki circle, we'd love to have you. We are doing it at the Long Island Buddhist Meditation Center,
I
which
gotta
was
go-
the Grange.
I got to go down there. That was one of our
And
old haunts that we used to. Yeah.
Spirits are wild there. So check my page. We do the Reiki Healing Center. Bhante and the monks are amazing to us.
Maybe
and
one day, I don't know. Maybe if we do get together one day, like we did at the Blue Duck Bakery that time, the very
do
first
it
time.
there.
Well, maybe I can meet you there, and maybe you can introduce me.
I will.
I would love to see the place because I hear it's so beautiful with the flowers
It's
and
beautiful.
everything.
Now, sit back and close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath, everyone. Breathe in peace, love, serenity. Exhale peace, love, and serenity. Sending you all love and blessings. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.